What's up, everybody? It is Christian. I'm coming back at you guys with a new video, more Survivor. Yes, you heard it here first. We are back. We got two for you, two for the price of one. We missed last week, episode 8, in a timely manner, so we're getting out episode 8 and episode 9 in this one, back to back. That's a banger. Hope you guys are ready for it. We haven't gotten too much traction just yet, but we got to stick with it. And I'm here to let you know that be it hell or high water, we are finishing season 50. We're gonna get through all the episodes. I am gonna go back and finish all my recaps of the previous seasons that have never been finished before. It's getting done here and now. Look, man, we're already going into May of 2026. That's halfway through the year, just about, and we got to get this stuff done. But enough rambling. Too much talking to start it out. We're going to get into Survivor season 50. This is episode 8. So we're at the merge. We got Jonathan left. We got Sari. We got Rizzo. We got Devins, Tiffany, Joe, Coach Christy, Aubrey, Christian, Emily, Ozzy, and Stephanie. And so this is the aftermath of the D vote. We have the last winner left, the last winner remaining. She played a sloppy game, like we said in the last one. Disaster, that was the name that I titled it. I'll have to think of a clever one for this one, but she just didn't play that 45 winning strategy that we remember. But this is also a much stronger cast of folks on here. So the aftermath of the D vote is that mostly everyone was okay with it, except for Tiffany. Sarah and Tiffany were working close together. They split the votes on them, but D did end up going home. So we find out for this episode that the players are going to be getting split up into pairs. They're going to be working with each other. You got Ozzy and Stephanie pair up, and they get to choose Aubrey and Devins, Jonathan and Christian, Christy and Coach, Emily and Rizzo, Joe and Tiffany, and then Sari ends up being safe, but she has to go to exile. Well, yeah. So things are going interesting. We learn early on in the episode that today's challenge, you're working in pairs, and so as a pair, you're gonna get an opportunity to win a reward. But also tonight at Tribal Council, if you get voted out, you're getting voted out as a pair for the first time in history. Like if you get voted out, your partner's getting voted out. So you gotta be with a good partner, good socially, that it's not gonna mess up your game too much. Because even if you're not a threat, if your partner's a threat, they might just cut the cord right there. So we get some talking on the beach. Coach tries to convince Tiffany that he didn't drive to get out D. Of course, Tiffany doesn't believe Coach. She was good friends with D, and D didn't trust Coach either. So Coach is pretty easy tell as well. He always finds his way to make it abundantly clear that he's caught in a lie. So we get this immunity challenge, right? And so a little bit of course set up. It's going to be broken down into 2 parts, and there's 6 pairs, obviously, because there are 12 players left. And from the first stage, only 3 of those pairs get to move on. Once you get there, the 3 remaining pairs will compete, and those 2 players that end up winning cannot be voted out, and they get a reward as well. Get a nice little meal. So, as I said, the pairs again: Ozzy and Stephanie. We got Aubrey and Devins, Jonathan, Christian, Christy and Coach, Emily and Rizzo, and Joe and Tiffany. And now, if I were just scouting these out before going into the competition, the pairs that I'm looking at right now, I'm thinking Ozzy and Stephanie, that probably has a pretty good shot at doing something. Jonathan and Christian, with Jonathan alone, I feel like he could parry through anything. And then Joe and Tiffany are probably the most well balanced in terms of 2 good competitors on the same pair. So yeah, that's how I'm thinking about that. So the first stage, only 3 pairs move on: Joe and Tiffany, Ozzy and Stephanie, and Devins and Aubrey. that one's a little bit of a shocker for me because that's kind of a nerd crew outside of Emily and Rizzo. So yeah, but they end up making it to the second stage, and so it's between these three groups. They work through their little portion of the physical stuff, and then the last thing that they all that each of the pairs have to do, these three, is land 2 balls at the end of one of those maze games. And so they do that, and Tiffany and Joe end up winning immunity and can't go home. I'm happy about this because I'm a Tiffany fan. I was rooting for her and D. I liked that little duo. I liked Camilla too, and it's a shame that those two kind of went out for almost like back to back right there. And we got Tiffany safe though, and Joe I don't care too much for, but he's safe. He also doesn't bother me that bad right now, but he's not who I want to see win the season, that's for sure. Back at camp, we hear the discussion is mainly Chrissy and Coach from one side of things. You're like, hey, you get out Coach, and Ozzy hasn't liked Coach. Ozzy and Cirie and Rizzo are kind of running things right now. So whatever they say kind of goes. But Devins and Aubrey is another pair that's being brought up, and Ozzy doesn't necessarily trust them either. He thinks that might be a good idea. So then you have Chrissy and Jonathan, who are also throwing out Rizzo and Emily. They don't have the best reputation there themselves. So we see Cirie's journey, and part of her journey is she gets a chance to vote at tonight's tribal. If not, she loses her vote. But she gets to return back just in time for this tribal, whereas a lot of times Exile, you're not even part of that night's tribal. You have to wait and come back the next day. Her challenge that she has to go through is amongst like maybe 1,000 coconuts on the beach. She has to find the exact right one that has the correct logo on it. And if she finds that, then she gets to vote for the night. Cirie is, going through it. She's fighting her demons. She wants to give up. She's sitting down for a bit. Not necessarily she wants to give up, but she's, running out of patience, running out a little bit of hope there. And she ends up finding it. So she gets to vote in tonight's tribal. She comes back and she kind of talks things out with Ozzy and says, hey, we get 2 for 1 here. Chrissy and Coach. That's the Chrissy, Coach, Jonathan side of things in this whole bigger groups that are starting to form. We get them out, we take the numbers, so let's do that. Joe doesn't like this when he's clued in on it. He's clued in on Coach and Chrissy because he wants Aubrey and Devins instead, because he's a big fan of working with especially Coach, but Coach and Chrissy and Jonathan, that's his group right there. We get to Tribal Council, and D comes out as the first juror. She's looking great as usual. And it's been pretty much discussed at this point who has an opportunity of going home. Devins has mentioned that he's going to use his idol to Aubrey, to make him and Aubrey safe. He kind of discusses it right there. He acts like he finds it again, which was always the plan with him and Christian. That creates a live tribal where everybody's talking, whispering in each other's ears. And at the end of the day, that fake idol play, only a couple people were buying it. Some weren't. But it does end up with Coach and Chrissy getting voted out. This is ultimately the best thing I wanted to see because, geez, I know a lot of people love Coach, but man, that guy is borderline insufferable. He's so self-absorbed. He's one of my least favorite players to watch. I understand he's a character, but man, I could not imagine spending time on a beach with that guy. He seems so much to just have to manage, and I was happy to see him go. Chrissy, I liked coming in. I liked her from her original season. I thought she had a good case to win the whole game of Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers, but she didn't. this time around she was on the side of things that I wasn't rooting for. So, I couldn't care less to see her go. Her and Coach, that sounds like a great night for me, especially when one of my favorites, Steve, just went home. So, yeah, that was episode 8, and we will talk about episode 9 right now. So in episode 9, now we are without Coach and Chrissy, double elimination there. We have Jonathan, we have Cirie, we have Rizzo, we have Devins, Tiffany, Joe, Aubrey, Christian, Emily, Ozzy, and Stephanie. So aftermath of that tribal, Jonathan was rubbed the wrong way from Devin's idol move. It seems like, you're hiding secrets. We've already don't necessarily trust you too much, and now it seems like we got to be even more worried about you finding idols around. Do you even have this idol? Are you going to play it? What's going on here? You are a risk. Stephanie again is questioning the validity of it, which she did originally at Tribal. She's like, where did you get that? Can we see the idol? And Devins wasn't showing it to her. So she's still skeptical. She doesn't even believe he necessarily has it. Joe wasn't happy about it and tells Devins, hey, I didn't know that the vote was going this way and all this rigmarole. Joe is like super honest and integrity man. He's similar to Coach in that regard. So yeah, Joe was not happy about it. And we know Joe and Devins had that blow up earlier on in the season when they were on their original tribe together. But it appears as though Rick is now target number 1, Rick Devins. Cirie and Ozzy, they're determining which side they're going to lean more towards working with going forward. Obviously, the threesome is Cirie, Ozzy, and Rizzo. That's the core of it all. But they're trying to figure out, okay, who do we want to roll with? Do we want to roll with Joe and Jonathan and Stephanie and go forward on that side? Or do we want to do Emily and Christian and Devins? We want to go with that side of things. Tiffany's kind of the odd person out. She's kind of a lone wolf, just doing her own thing. But that's what's being discussed. And then on the flip side thing, you have Jonathan and Joe discussing who they want to work with next. Aubrey also doesn't appear to be too happy with Devin's shenanigans from the previous tribal. While he was trying to, manage her fears of possibly getting voted out at that tribal council, the shadiness of the way he went about it, and then still ultimately not playing it, and then just in general making a big spectacle at tribal made his game a huge target, and by proxy being associated with him, that would make her a target as well. So she's trying to get out of those hairs. She's kind of moving off of Devins, and she says how she's willing to make bigger moves and willing to play a different way and hop along where she needs to. She doesn't need to stay the same person the whole time. So there's that, and so she's discussing it with Jonathan. Jonathan and Aubrey seem like they are cool with working with one another. Christian tries to gain Jonathan's favor by giving him his shot in the dark. Jonathan takes it, but he has no intention of working with Christian at all, which is opposite of what we saw earlier on when Christian did the same thing with Ozzy, and Ozzy took a shot in the dark. They're trying to kind of figure out who is the middle. Christian gets discussed as the middle, Devins gets discussed as the middle, but Christian brings up a point. He says, who's really in the middle? It's Ozzy. Because Ozzy's working with Jonathan, he's working with Joe and Stephanie, but then he's also working with Cirie and Rizzo and Emily. Those are his people. So he's really the middle guy, and he brings that up to, of all people, Cirie. And like Christian, you weren't getting a good read on things. I don't know if you thought you were closer with Cirie or not, but Ozzy is Cirie's number 1 guy, and you're not going to win that battle. So when he tells Cirie about that, she kind of like, oh yeah, you know what, maybe you're right. She just nods and agrees, like Cirie's gonna do. But then she hears that and she brings it immediately to Ozzy. She's like, Christian said you're the one that we need to vote out next, because you're really playing the middle. And this of course sets off Ozzy, who earlier had his own issues and his own arguments with Christian. Hence that giving him the shot in the dark, like I mentioned earlier. And he, he's like, I knew I couldn't trust this guy. Let's get him out of here. He's done. He's done for this time. She also shares that with Jonathan because she likes working with Jonathan. Get to immunity. Jeff introduces an opportunity to earn rice because he's going to compete in the challenge, and if 5 people make a side bet with him, that all 5 of them beat Jeff's time of him doing it, that they get rice, and if not, they don't get rice. He doesn't get 5 people, but he gets 4, and he says, hey, that's enough. The 4 people are Jonathan, Tiffany, Ozzy, and Joe. And Jeff is really Jeff is really going through it in this challenge. You know, he never actually competes. He just kind of talks trash from the sidelines, but the contestants are letting him have it too, especially as they drop. And even after they drop, some people that were still in it, like Ozzy, is like, hey, you gotta dig deep, Jeff. You gotta dig deep. How bad do you want it? And all that stuff. There's same things that Jeff usually says. But anyway, he loses because he doesn't beat out any of Jonathan, Tiffany, Ozzy, and Joe. They're amongst some of the last left. So Tribe wins rice. The last 3 competitors ends up being Joe and Ozzy and Jonathan. And Jonathan drops, and then you have Joe and Ozzy, and they competed out for a while, but Joe, man, he looked strong on it. He had so much rope left at the end of it. Ozzy couldn't hang on, so Joe wins immunity. Get back to camp. Tiffany talks to Devins about his name being discussed. Jonathan brings up to Joe that Christian mentioned Jonathan and Ozzy's name. Jonathan's pushing Christian as the vote out option. Then we get to see Christian, who was selected as the person to go on the journey at the end of the immunity challenge, via rock, paper, scissors. Has gotten this Jimmy Fallon twist in the game, this advantage or whatever. It's a journey challenge, so you know he has to win in order to accept it. And what it would have done is that he gets an extra vote that's added to the pot before tribal even starts. Basically, he would write down somebody's name as part of the vote out before tribal even starts, and nobody got to see him write it down. But on the flip side, if he loses, he has to cast a specific vote, and that vote is for himself. So big stakes on the line here. Either he throws a vote literally at himself, or he gets to get ahead of the game and vote an extra one on somebody without them even knowing he wrote an extra vote, which is pretty interesting as well. So Christian's doing the puzzle, time's racing down. It's the anchor one, where if you don't finish it in time, the anchor pulls the puzzle into the ocean. We saw Rachel do it on her season. She got it just in the nick of time. And of course, Christian is one of the better puzzle people we've seen on the show in general. So, you know, even if it comes down to the wire, he should be able to do this. But somehow, some way, Christian doesn't finish the puzzle. He runs out of time. It gets pulled into the water, and so Christian has to cast a vote on himself, and that's insane to me. Get back to camp. Emily starts saying Ozzy's name as well, you know, mentioning him as the middle person, and she brings that up to Sari, and Sari tells Ozzy about it, and Ozzy's, you know, feels betrayed because Ozzy's been protecting and wanting to work with Emily the whole time. Emily tells Sari and Tiffany about it. Sari wasn't happy. And her and Tiffany want Emily out. But there's also still a lot of momentum towards Christian, and then Christian's the easy vote out, and then Devins, again, his name was mentioned earlier, and he has this idol that he keeps saying he's going to use. all the way up to tribal. He mentions that he's going to use it again. At this point in time, I'm thinking Rick might go home, unless he somehow finds a real idol, not the fake idol he's been throwing around. Or I think it could be Emily. I feel like it's kind of moved off of Christian. But surprisingly to me, it ends up being Christian that goes home. So Christian ends up being the one voted out, in part thanks to Jimmy Fallon, because he made Christian put a vote on himself. And that's just crazy. That's bad luck in Survivor. The game is so much luck as much as it is skill and social game and physical challenge. There's so much luck involved. You can't get hurt and all that stuff. But anyway, Christian Hubicki is the next one out. We need a new narrator for the season of the show because he's had the most confessionals. Who's it going to be? Who's going to step up and, you know, rise to the occasion? Maybe Ozzy. I mean, I feel like Ozzy's also gotten a lot of screen time. But yeah, it's getting down to the nitty gritty. I really need to get this this tier list out pretty soon because we're almost at the end here. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown and my thoughts on everything, you know, of course, leave a like on the video, comment down below what you thought, what else you want to see me talk about related to reality TV, if you want to see me react to any other Survivor content, and click the subscribe button if you want to see more. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.